Ever find yourself really wishing for something? Like really wishing you could make something happen?
That dream job, a lucky break, maybe even just finding a parking space when everywhere is jammed.
Exactly. We all have those moments, right?
Right.
But what if I told you there's a way to make those wishes a reality? And all it takes is tapping into the power of your own mind.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're taking a deep dive into Neville Goddard's At Your Command.
Now, if you haven't heard of it, don't worry. It was written way back in 1939.
Way before The Secret and all that law of attraction stuff hit the mainstream.
Right. But this book, it was way ahead of its time. Basically, Goddard's big idea is that your awareness, your consciousness is God. What you are conscious of being, you become.
And he doesn't just throw that out there, he backs it up with some seriously thought-provoking examples.
Yeah, like imagine someone who's never spoken a word in their life.
Never even made a sound.
But they're still, just by being aware of it, they're constantly affirming their state of being.
It's a powerful concept, isn't it? Goddard wasn't talking about just saying some words or hoping for the best. He was talking about a fundamental shift, a whole different way of understanding reality itself.
Right, and the really interesting thing is how he saw the Bible.
Not just as some historical document, but like a psychological drama unfolding.
A guidebook to tapping into this inner power we all have.
He truly believed that everyone, every single one of us, has this incredible potential just waiting to be unlocked.
I have to admit, that's both exciting and kind of intimidating, don't you think?
How so?
Well, if this is really true, if we actually buy into this idea, it kind of changes everything. It's like realizing you've had these amazing superpowers all along, but you never even knew it.
And that's exactly the point Goddard was trying to make. He wasn't saying there isn't a higher power, but he was redefining it, bringing it closer, showing us it's not this distant force, but something within each and every one of us. It's all about recognizing that power and using it to create the life we want.
Okay, so we've established that our consciousness is powerful. Really powerful. But how do we actually use it? Like, how do we go from just daydreaming about something to actually making it happen?
That's where Goddard gets really practical. He gives us these techniques, almost like a step-by-step guide for putting this power into action. And it all comes down to this idea of aligning your inner world, what you believe and feel inside, with the outer world, the reality you want to experience.
All right, so spill the secrets. What are some of these techniques?
One of the most important is what Goddard calls the I am power. And it's not just about saying what you want, it's about embodying it, owning it, like it's already a fact. So instead of wishing for wealth, you declare, I am wealthy, with absolute certainty, no doubts whatsoever.
So it's not enough to just like say the words right.
Yeah.
You have to really feel it deep down, believe it in your core.
Absolutely, because think about it. If you're saying, I am wealthy, but at the same time you're worried sick about your bank account, those are totally mixed messages. It's like you're trying to tell the universe two different things at once. And what happens then? You end up getting nowhere.
That makes total sense. It's like programming your GPS with two different destinations at the same time. You're going to end up lost.
Exactly. And manifestation, it works the same way. Conflicting thoughts, they just create confusion. It's like static on a radio signal, preventing your desired outcome from coming through.
Okay, I get that. But what about those of us who've spent years, maybe even our whole lives, with this self-image, this belief that we're not good enough, not worthy, not capable of achieving our dreams? Can we really change that?
Absolutely. And that's where Goddard's technique of revision comes in. He says we're not stuck with our past or how things are right now. We can rewrite our self-concept, just like editing a document on your computer. You can delete the old story, the limiting beliefs, and literally replace them with a new, empowering narrative.
It's like hitting the reset button on your entire belief system. So cool. But how do we make those revisions stick? How do we go from feeling like the underdog to actually believing we're capable of winning?
This is where things get really interesting. Goddard talks about the power of feeling. He says it's not enough to just think about what you want or even say nice things to yourself. You have to inhabit the feeling of your desire as if it's already a reality. He even uses this really intense analogy. He says you have to be crucified on the feeling.
Crucified? Okay, that's a pretty intense visual. So he's not talking about some wishy-washy, ooh, that'd be nice kind of feeling.
Not at all. He's talking about total immersion, complete surrender to the feeling. You become so consumed by the feeling of your desire, so fully immersed in it, that it becomes your dominant state of being. Imagine stepping into a movie, right into the screen, and not just watching it, but feeling everything the main character feels as if you were living their life. That's the level of emotional engagement Goddard is talking about.
Wow, okay. That's powerful. So we're not just thinking it, we're not just saying it, we're literally feeling it with every fiber of our being. It's like we become actors, taking on the role of the person we want to be.
Precisely. And that brings us to another super important aspect of Goddard's teachings, selective attention. It's this understanding that what we focus on, what we give our energy to, expands. So if we're constantly dwelling on our problems, on what we don't have or what we're afraid of, we're actually giving those things more power, making them even bigger in our reality.
So it's like we're accidentally manifesting more of what we don't want just by giving it so much attention. Like, if you're so busy focusing on the weeds, how are those flowers ever going to have a chance to grow?
It's a great analogy. And Goddard actually uses this really interesting example from the Bible to illustrate this whole concept of selective attention.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
The story of Daniel in the lion's den.
Oh, right.
So everyone thinks Daniel survived because of some miracle. Right.
Right.
But Goddard says, no, it was because Daniel chose where to put his attention. He wasn't focused on the danger, on the lions all around him. He kept his focus on his faith, on what Goddard calls the light. And because of that, because he refused to give power to the fear, he was able to escape unharmed.
That's such a good point. It's a reminder that even when things seem scary, when we're surrounded by challenges, we always have a choice. We can feed the fear, or we can choose to focus on what we want to create. Easier said than done, though, right?
Absolutely. It takes practice. It's a skill, learning to redirect your attention, especially when things feel tough.
For sure. It's like anything else, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Exactly. The more you do it, the more you start to realize just how much power you actually have. You start to see how you can literally shape your experience of reality just by choosing where you put your attention.
Wow. This whole deep dive into Neville Goddard has been amazing. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling both inspired and, I have to admit, a little overwhelmed by all this talk of manifestation and consciousness.
It's a lot to take in, for sure.
Yeah, it really is. So for our listeners, for everyone tuning in who's ready to start putting these ideas into practice, what's one last takeaway, one final thought you'd like to leave them with?
I think if there's one thing to remember from all of Goddard's teachings, it's this. If we truly believe that our awareness shapes our reality, that our thoughts and beliefs have the power to create our experience, then we have to ask ourselves, what are we unconsciously creating right now in this very moment? What are we giving our attention to? What limiting beliefs are we holding on to? What fears and doubts are we feeding? Because those things, they're creating our reality just as much as our hopes and dreams.
It's a powerful question, isn't it?
It really is.
It's like Goddard's handing us the keys to the kingdom, and he's saying, go ahead, create the life you want. But remember, it all starts with awareness.
Absolutely. It's a journey, a constant process of self-discovery and conscious creation. And it all starts with that one question. What do I choose to focus on?
Well said. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive into the incredible world of Neville Goddard. We hope you've enjoyed this exploration as much as we have. And remember, you are not just a passenger on this journey of life, you are the driver. So choose your destination, map out your course, and start manifesting the reality you desire. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep creating.